It is my pleasure and honor to introduce our distinguished speaker, Professor Thom Edgar. Professor Edgar attended the University of Colorado, completing his Bachelor of Science in Civil Engineering in 1972. After working for Moretrench American Corporation for 2 years, he returned to Colorado and received a Master of Science in Groundwater Hydrology and a PhD in Geotechnical Engineering from Colorado State University. Thom began teaching at the University of Wyoming in 1981 as a lecturer and became an associate professor in 1983 after finishing his PhD. Over the years, he has taught 11 undergraduate and 7 graduate courses. He has received the American Society of Engineering Education New Engineering Educator Excellence Award in 1987 and was named the UW Freshman Outstanding Professor in 1998. He has been named the American Society of Civil Engineers Student Chapter Outstanding Faculty Member 4 times. Please note this is a national award. He's also a Mortarboard Top Professor 4 times, and in 2002 he received the John P. Elbogen Meritorious Classroom Teaching Award. Thom was the UW ASCE Faculty Advisor for 29 years, during which time the chapter received 4 certificates of commendation. He has received the ASCE Zone 3 Faculty Advisor Certificate of Commendation 3 times and the ASCE Region 70 Faculty Advisor of the Year twice. He has also been active in the state section of ASCE, and for his involvement at all levels, he received the ASCE Region 7 Lifetime Achievement Award in 2013. Thom has been active in the Wyoming Engineering Society since 1986 and was made an honorary member in 2009. He was awarded the President's Outstanding Engineer Award in 2010. Thom learned about the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator at a UW conference on teaching and learning and quickly realized the insight it has for understanding people and their behavior. It had a profound impact on his teaching, and he became qualified to administer the MBTI test in 1989. He has given his students the MBTI as part of their first lab in soil mechanics ever since. It's no surprise that in 2014, Thom was recognized with the John P. Elbogen Lifetime Teaching Award. Thom and his wife Sally have been married for 43 years. Their 2 children, Eric and Elizabeth, have followed in their father's footsteps, and both are engineers. Sally, too, is retiring this year after serving as a music educator to hundreds of elementary school children in the Laramie area. Before I introduce Thom, I'd like to introduce Sally. She's sitting here in front. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Thom Edgar.
I'd ask Steve to keep the introduction short. Oh well. When I was first asked to give today's commencement speech, I agreed immediately. And then, at time, immediately plus delta T, that fear of, what am I going to talk about hit? You know the feeling. You just did your senior design presentations or your research examinations. Of course, by law, a commencement speaker has to look up the word commencement in the dictionary and report that it means a beginning and not an end. Done. Well, I thought about it, and finally on my last day of classes, my last class, I figured it out. I only got about halfway through my lecture on seismicity and wave attenuation and its effects on stability of slides on earth dams. So now I have time to finish that lecture. You all did receive your handouts as you walked in, is that right? Uh-oh, you didn't. Maybe it's in your diploma case. And I was supposed to have a slide screen come down and a slide projector, but my students know that I can't give a lecture without visuals and handouts. I guess I won't be able to do that, which is probably just as well that I don't finish that lecture. Because there's a certain deceit, a lack of reality when we say that a course or a course of study is over, that we've covered all the topics, that this portion of your education is complete. Just as the senior courses you took in your discipline were a continuation of your junior courses, each topic that you covered was merely an introduction to a potential lifetime of investigation. Take the lowly free body diagram that you learned about in physics or statics. You thought, excuse me, a person doesn't need that. You thought you'd exhausted its possibilities by the end of statics, but then came dynamics and that free body moved, and then mechanics materials and it bent, and then that led to control volumes and thermodynamics and fluids, which became later maybe porous media and groundwater or reservoir engineering, or a filter or a resistor or the reference volume for field theory or continuum mechanics. They're all related problems. They're just different pictures. In graduate school, I began to realize that certain names like Coulomb and Rankine and Boussinesq and Laplace kept showing up in disciplines outside their home department. What all these people realized is that engineering and scientific analysis are not discipline-driven. They were able to see over the walls that separated the disciplines and saw the commonality between them. That solving a problem in one field can solve a problem in another. And I believe that that's one of the guiding principles in the university's goals for Tier 1. Sharing disciplines, we can share solutions. That's efficient, it's creative, and for you guys, it's also job security. Because in fact, engineering and applied sciences are not an assembly of topics and abilities that you learn in class, but it's a way of thought. It's not how you look, but observe. Not contemplate, but analyze. Learning that problem solving isn't a series of tricks or a switch that you can turn on and off, but a way of life. Are we nerds? Yes, we are. Be thankful for it. It's the greatest gift that your parents and your teachers, both inside and outside class, ever gave you. You've heard, I've had a great career at UW. I've taught here for 34 years. I've actually taught, and I counted last night, 22 different courses. I've taught introductory soil mechanics over 50 times. My students still wonder when I'm going to get it right. I was faculty advisor for ASCE for 29 years. I've attended, to the best of my recollection, every graduation ceremony wearing my original PhD cap and gown. I've won far more awards for teaching than I ever deserved. Where did this brilliant person come from? It was not a linear path. I was not a stellar undergraduate student. At the end of my sophomore year, I had already learned that D's get degrees. And that 2 F's in Calculus 4 and Dynamics gave me a whopping 1.92 semester GPA and a 2.17 cumulative. I was asked twice by the Associate Dean of Engineering to reconsider my career choices and think more along the lines of ditch digging or some other academic field. That summer, the repeat calculus class used an experimental curriculum which kind of ensured a passing grade if you could hold a pencil and write your name on a bubble sheet. But dynamics was taught by Leonard G. Tulin, possibly the finest professor I ever had. He took a struggling student under his wing, and together we got through dynamics. And I got a B in his mechanics materials class. And in his SMASH lab the next semester, I tested concrete cylinders to plastic failures in a triaxial loading cell using a 400 kip loading frame and a 10,000 psi confining pressure cell. I worked on that project for 2 more semesters, and I eventually received the ASTM Undergraduate Testing Award. Engineering finally began to make sense to me. Leonard Toolin's empathy for a struggling student was my impetus to get through college, and students to this day have benefited from my attempts to emulate his teaching and his concern in advising. It also shows the value of persistence. Of course, my 2.55 final GPA guaranteed that I would never go to graduate school, which was just fine with me then. I went to work for a construction dewatering firm, lowering water levels and excavations so foundations could be built in dry conditions. I knew nothing of groundwater when I started, so the second week of work I went to the county library, checked out all the books having to deal with hydrology and groundwater, all 5 of them, and worked through them on my own at night. In less than 2 years, I worked on over 150 different projects, ranging from a filter box for a swimming pool at a community college, to dewatering designs for 2 nuclear power plants, to subways in Washington and San Francisco, on dams, building foundations, projects across the world. I designed and built a special 250-gallon per minute dewatering pump for dewatering wells with no moving parts. I did that in 2.5 weeks. This is from a student who graduated in the top 3/4 of his class and who promised his hydrology professor that he would never again take another hydraulics class. When we moved back west, we ended up in Fort Collins. One of the groundwater profs at Colorado State had been on sabbatical and desperately needed a warm body on a recharge project in eastern Colorado. During our interview, I started writing out partial differential equations describing groundwater flow, showing I knew both theory and practice. He had never seen that before in an undergraduate interview. He convinced the department head to accept me conditionally for 1 semester. I worked hard for my 3 years for my master's. You thought you had problems. I also volunteered and became the gopher for a lot of the departmental conferences that were held there in hydraulics and hydrology and structures and soil mechanics, all the while broadening my background. Finally, I started teaching soils labs, and I was hooked. I've been teaching ever since. So what's the takeaway from all of this? I'm telling you this because I want you to understand that the only limitations that you have are the ones that you put upon yourself. Understand that you can do it. I know you can because I have. You can be successful far beyond what you ever think possible now. You're graduating today. This part of your life is ended. Your transcripts are fixed, just like mine was. It's a historical record. But your GPA, either high or low, does not define who you are. It may have some effect on your first job, but it will have none on your second. Who you were yesterday is not who you have to be tomorrow. Surprise your employer. Use those engineering skills you've developed to observe, to analyze, to synthesize, and gain experience by visualizing how your work can be done better, or quicker, or more efficiently, or used in different ways. Continue to educate yourself. You've only started, thank goodness. Attend workshops, conferences, webinars. Be broad. Learn about techniques and skills outside your area. This is really significant. What you should be trying to do is be able to look over those walls and see the connections between your field and the others. Be a professional. Get licensed no matter what your discipline. It can only help you. Join your professional society and become active in it, as you could hear I have. Do it whether your company pays for it or not. Mine didn't. I did it anyway. Learn from the wisdom of professionals that you can meet. Network. Read your society's code of ethics or code of practice and think about what it means. Realize your obligation to yourself, your profession, and your society. Shortly, we'll discuss the obligation of the engineer. Make no mistake, our professions directly impact the health and safety of the public, and we should never consider our personal roles to be too insignificant or unimportant in their consideration. I feel the opportunities for personal growth and development are probably greater now than they have been since the space programs in the 60s. It will take diligence and persistence, but the opportunity for many disciplines to lower the walls and to converge is here now, and you're in the middle of it. It's being guided by the wealth of information freely available to you on the web. So make Google your home page. Start your search as soon as you turn your computers on. I think it's a great time to be graduating. But one last thing. No matter how great an engineer or scientist that you are, it's only one aspect of your personality. Remember to live life as well. You'll soon graduate from the college with the highest ACT scores and the lowest GPAs. Reality. Exercise that mind as well as your body. Read. Listen to music. Look at art. Expand your horizons. Try to excel in some field other than your profession. Embrace life in all the crazy details. Live, love, and laugh. Learn to laugh at yourself. If nothing else, it's a great stress reliever. The ability to understand irony and laugh at ourselves is an attribute only of the higher primates, and one that we should and must cherish. I try to do it every day. I officially retire in about 2 hours, and this ceremony is over. At that time, I could go home to my beautiful wife of 43 years and say, "Hi, honey, I'm home." Forever. To the graduates, advanced and undergrad, congratulations on a job well done. To the parents, spouses, sibs, friends, welcome, and congratulations to you as well. You're a big part of their success. Enjoy.
As I mentioned earlier, it's no surprise that he won the Logan Lifetime Teaching Award. Before we move on, if you've taken a class from Thom, would you please stand? Thank you.